Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Tonight on Our News, mixed views on the visit of the Duke and Duchess of Windsor just days before their arrival. Plus why the Rastafarian community is planning a protest. And later, the tourism minister foreshadowing an end to the travel health visa. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, members of the public offering mixed reaction to the upcoming royal visit of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. Some are indifferent about the visit, while others take issue with the fact that the Bahamian public is footing the bill. Here's Jared Higgs.
Thursday's royal visit has been met with indifference by some, with many saying they weren't even aware of the trip. Others only appear to take issue with the fact that government is paying for accommodations and food for the royal pair and their staff.
I don't even know anything about that. Seriously.
Do you think how do you think that they should be received here in the Bahamas?
I mean, like anyone else.
I mean, it's a good thing for the country. I think it's a real good thing for the country, but I don't think that we should be covering their expense.
Why are we able to pay for that? Shouldn't they pay for it for themselves? I think we should pay. Yeah, we get our own problems right now.
Prince William and Kate Middleton are expected in the Bahamas on Thursday, following stops in Jamaica and Belize, where there have been protests over the visit. While here, they'll spend 3 days touring New Providence, Abaco, and Grand Bahama. Observers suspect that the purpose of the trip is to shore up support for the monarchy in Commonwealth Caribbean countries after Barbados' departure last November.
All of that is a part of our history. Accept your history and keep it simple. Don't get all caught up in all of the negativity. Just keep it positive and keep moving.
Why is it a good thing for the country that they're coming?
It's part of the British colony, the Queen, so it's good to see them to come visit the islands and stuff.
At the end of the day, the place belongs to them.
Technically speaking, that's the case, as Queen Elizabeth is still the country's head of state. And while many we canvassed found ways to justify the visit, there were interesting responses to this next question. Do you think that the Queen should still be the head of state?
No.
Tell me why.
From my ancestors' stand.
Things have changed now, and we're moving forward. So I think that we have enough power now that we can run our own line.
I'm not sure. To be honest, I'm not sure. But we have to accept the flow.
In a way, no. In a way, yeah. But we have our own independence, right? Why she still need to be there at the Bahamas?
You said no and yes. So
yeah, that's a kind of tricky question.
So why yes?
The yes part, just because I guess they give us our independence. We ain't really fighting, say you go on the ball and take it. That's why the yes part.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Well, members of the Rastafarian community plan to protest during the royal visit this Thursday. That's according to Royal Ambassador of the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress, Priest Rithman McKinney. McKinney says they want an apology for slavery and colonialism and reparations.
The reason for the protest to let them know that we still here humbly await for our true justice, which is freedom, redemption, international repatriation, compensation. There's a Rastaman plight from then to now. So it's not only the Rastaman need this compensation and reparation. The whole black community need this.
The Duke and Duchess faced protests in Belize as well as in Jamaica. The trip was meant to enhance support for the monarchy throughout the region. However, McKinney says the Rastafari community has a different message to send, and they want Bahamians to support.
Yes, we would love for them to come up with a chance now where a message could be delivered to Queen Elizabeth to let them know that majority of people still seeking fundamental rights and justice, which is really madness from the British Crown.
With the royal visit expected to draw large crowds, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville says his ministry has been in constant contact with organizers to ensure health protocols are followed.
All of the protocols we anticipate will be followed. Any changes or potential threat as a result of exposure to COVID will be dealt with. And so we feel that we're ready, and we look forward for the visit, for the Bahamian people to be a part of the festivity.
When asked if there would be restrictions against unvaccinated people attending the events, Dr. Darville had this to say.
It depends where the event is. We have some rules out in the open. We have different rules. If you're indoors, there are different rules, and we expect healthcare protocols to be followed.
Beautiful, sunny and breezy conditions today. Meteorologist Greg Thompson has the latest from the Weather Center. Good evening, Greg.
Thanks, Christina, and welcome everybody for our first look at weather on this warm Tuesday evening. Temperatures back up into the upper 70s, 78 degrees outside our studios. Partly cloudy skies, we call it some passing clouds. But it is breezy out there, east-southeast winds at 70 miles per hour, and your feels-like temperature at around 76 degrees. On our satellite, ridge of high pressure dominating our weather. There was a weak frontal boundary just to the east of the central Bahamas. That's basically washing itself out. A couple of isolated showers moving from east to west across the central islands. But all in all, that high pressure ridge continuing to dominate our weather, and it will remain breezy tonight through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, visa no more, as the tourism minister says the travel document may soon no longer be required. Plus, the reopening of the shuttered Club Med Resort imminent. We'll tell you why. And later, why the social services minister is saying gender-based violence is everyone's business. That's coming up when our news returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamik.
The travel health visa back in the spotlight again as Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper suggests it may come to an end soon. This as he responds to concerns the government is footing the bill for visitors' COVID-19 tests. Bethany McDermott reports.
Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism Chester Cooper foreshadowing the termination of the travel health visa. Speaking ahead of the weekly cabinet meeting, Cooper said the decision will be based on the country's COVID-19 cases.
We hope that we won't need the travel health visa in the medium term. So when I foreshadowed transitioning the travel health visa, I'm suggesting that if we are fortunate that there is not a fourth wave, there will be no real tangible reasons to continue the travel health visa in the form that it's in.
The Exuma and Ragged Island MP was unable to give a timeline on this. The travel health visa was implemented back in 2020 as the country reopened its borders amid the ongoing pandemic. While in opposition, Cooper, along with his PLP colleagues, slammed the idea by the minister's administration.
I foreshadow that this is a transition period, and during this transition period, if the determination is made that we are comfortable enough with the state of COVID in the world, then it will be eliminated. It's not here to stay indefinitely.
His comments come after F&M leader Michael Pintard accused the government of subsidizing COVID-19 tests for tourists, which Cooper called political nonsense. In a statement, Pintard called the policy a shameful one.
The previous administration and this administration have always provided a 5-day test or 2-day test, as the case might be, as a part of the fee that's being charged for the travel health visa. Instead of that test being a 5-day test, it is now a departure test. Same test. So if it is unprofitable now, it was unprofitable then.
Cooper said there was no change in cost or change in model. According to Pintard, the price of the health visa is not sufficient to cover the test prices. In his calculation, the $40 for the health visa is sufficient to cover the cost of the health insurance at $25, administrative overhead at $10, and generate a small surplus of $5. When the cost of the COVID-19 test of $23 is factored in, the total cost of a health visa increases to $58.
The fee for the travel health visa always included the cost of a test.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism Chester Cooper says government is close to an agreement with Club Med Resort for its reopening this winter. Cooper telling reporters today a subcommittee has been formed to ensure the San Salvador property can begin welcoming guests during the peak season.
He has given me a mandate along with a subcommittee to see the reopening of Club Med in time for the winter season. We're working in that direction. We have almost reached agreement in principle with the owners of Club Med to cause that to happen.
Club Med terminated 190 employees last January, saying its decision was spurred by the impact of COVID-19. No reopening date was given, but the resort's website still has October 2022 as its targeted reopening date. Cooper says so far, government has already made infrastructural adjustments for the island.
An ambulance, a fire truck, certain adjustments at the airport, certain repairs at the airport, certain adjustments in relation to water and sewage capacity, certain adjustments in relation to BPL's capacity. So we have already committed to everything that we need to do. We have one follow-up meeting before I believe shovel will hit the ground. But I am confident this is going to happen.
Meanwhile, as COVID-19 cases remain relatively low and the Davis administration continues to relax restrictions, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville says it's time for the events industry to get back to work. Jasmine Brown explains in this report.
The Health and Wellness Minister says while the Davis administration wants to keep COVID numbers down, they are also seeking to get industries that have been stifled due to the pandemic back up and running. Dr. Darville says the events industry is a prime example after coming to a near standstill for nearly 2 years.
We want that sector of the economy to start moving. There is a lot of people there. People who are involved in this sector of the economy who need to get back to work, and we're here. We've relaxed the rules.
Due to the COVID-19 pandemic and health protocols, large gatherings and events had been banned without approval. However, under the most recent COVID rules that came into effect in late February, restrictions were loosened. The latest rules allow for private indoor gatherings at a residence or facility with as many as 40 people in attendance. Outdoor private gatherings are limited to 100 people. Whether indoor or outdoor, all attendees must either be fully vaccinated or present a negative COVID test result, and all COVID protocols must be adhered to. Previously, no more than 30 people were allowed at outdoor gatherings and no more than 20 people at indoor gatherings. Larger events like concerts must still get approval from the Ministry of Health.
For events, we want to make it clear that it's a case-by-case basis and you have to apply to the EOC.
Darville was asked how many applications for events are currently before the Ministry of Health. He says he cannot give an exact figure, but he did say this.
That I can't tell you, but I assume it would be because there's a group of people who would like to get the industry up and going.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
When Our News comes back from the break, gender-based violence legislation still under review, while the Social Services Minister is saying it's everyone's business. And the donation the Foam organization says will go a long way in helping distressed families. The details when Our News returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Salute.
This is Our News. Welcome back. Will proposed legislation against gender-based violence use the term marital rape? It's the question put to Minister of State for Social Services today. Our Sasha Lightborn has the story.
Violence against women should be on the minds of everyone in the country, not just women, according to Minister of State for Social Services Lisa Ramming. Ramming giving an update on a suite of gender-based violence legislation today.
Attorney General's office is at this time viewing it. And like everyone else, they're doing their entire best to bring it out in ample time, especially because we know that the public is concerned. In fact, we all are concerned, and we should be concerned about the act coming forward.
Earlier this month, 24-year-old Carissa Culmer was allegedly found hanging in a room at the Landshark Hotel on March 10th. Raming was unable to say when the proposed legislation would be brought before Cabinet, but she did note that there will be extensive public education.
I know for a fact, before any act is really pulled out, it's for the public to accept what you're saying or to even understand and appreciate it. We know at this point, and it was agreed between Guyana and us, that it's important that we do public education. And we also discussed it in our legal forum that we had with the gender base. The panel discussion was using certain terminologies, because when you use certain terminologies, that will somehow make persons think different from what it means. So we got to be clear on what we say, and we also have to communicate that to the public.
Now asked whether the government had settled on using marital rape in the legislation and whether she would support a name change, the state minister responded this way.
There is no settlement at this time. Like I said, the legislation is being reviewed. So nothing is settled until the gravel hits.
So can you say if it's called marital rape in the legislation?
I cannot say that at this time.
Would you support changing the name from marital rape to something else?
I would not respond to that.
Reporting for our news, I'm Sasha Lightbourne.
In other news, former Commissioner of Police Reginald Ferguson offering candid advice for anyone looking to become the next police commissioner. Ferguson, who was the 5th Commissioner of Police, made the comments while appearing on the Royal Bahamas Police Force's weekly talk show, Cop Talk. He was asked what advice he would give those aspiring to take the top post.
I say more power to them. But don't think you come in here for no bed of roses. It don't go like that.
Yes, sir. It's
a job. See, first of all, the chief of state, the chief executive, who's the prime minister, he has got to be advised on crime in our country. You, Commissioner, he was the chief advisor. And so you got to know what's going on out there. You can't go talking foolishness.
Ferguson's comments come one day after current police commissioner Paul Roll told the press he will likely retire this year. He notes that members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force usually serve for 40 years. Roll, who joined the force in 1983, says he's nearing the 40-year mark. Former Commissioner Ferguson says whoever leads the force needs to keep several things in mind.
Broaden your experience, awareness of your country. Look at everything, because national security and policing in this country will be different from some other country. And the role that the police plays, and I think fundamentally right now in the in certain regulations, like a family island, where there are no customs, no immigration, no anything, just the police. The police has got to play the role for all of those things.
And the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute has big decisions to make in terms of the Institute's leadership. Come May, the contract of Dr. Robert Robertson, current president at BTVI, will come to an end, paving the way for either an extension of his contract or new leadership. Minister of Education Glenys Hanna-Martin says BTVI's new board has just been named and decisions will be made.
The board will have oversight of the decision-making as it relates to that. The point I made, excuse me, as it relates to University of the Bahamas, is that it is the objective of me as Minister of Education, I believe as the Bahamas government, to ensure that where possible, Bahamians are empowered and are able to assume positions that aid in our development as a people. Of course, the board will review the circumstances and we will be in dialogue to see what the outcome of that will be.
This comes on the heels of University of the Bahamas Board of Trustees appointing American Dr. Eric Rowland as the university's new president, a position many feel should have been filled by a Bahamian. Is there any chance that BTVI's first vice president, Dr. Linda Davis, may assume the top post?
That board will look at the termination or the ending of that contract and the search to see who assumes, whether it's the individual currently serving or a new person. However, as I indicated, we are principally guided by, where possible, in our national development for Bahamians to assume positions of influence in our nation.
Still to come, a preschool scholarship that will change the lives of one family. And later, Greg is back with your extended forecast. That's coming up when our news returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamika.
Welcome back to our news. Families of all murder victims, or FOAM, receiving a donation of backpacks and school supplies from the Bahamas Child Care and Preschool Association today. The association is also offering a one-year scholarship for a preschool-age child going into grade 1. This comes as the association celebrates Preschool Week under the theme Society Benefit from a Quality Preschool Education.
Usually we would celebrate within our association with our kids, but because of COVID and the large gatherings, we decided to do something different today. So we're giving back to Miss Candy Gibson from FOAM because we believe in her organization. We support her and we telling her to keep up the good work that you're doing in our community.
Founder of FOAM, Candy Gibson, says the backpacks will be distributed to children who have lost a parent to murder.
It's very hard because, do bear in mind, the persons being killed in our country are the sole breadwinner of the family, and in some cases the mothers don't work. And with that being said, the child now is now the recipient of who's left behind. And in some cases, when your loved one is murdered, you already have your bills, you have your children to take care of. And so we're now taking on your murdered loved one, child or children. It becomes harder time. So we want to say special thank you to your team for your kind donation.
Well, sounds like more sunny skies ahead this week. Greg is back in the Weather Center with the extended forecast.
Thanks again, Christina. Welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather. Weak frontal boundary that was affecting the Central Islands now washed out. Some isolated showers still associated with that moving across the Central Bahamas from east to west. Very small showers, but a high pressure ridge to the north dominating our weather for today. That's giving us a bit of a dry air mass moving across us. Those winds are mainly out of the east, northeast to east. And we will continue to experience those breezy conditions through tomorrow. But that high eventually will be sliding out towards the east. That's going to be paving the way for a frontal boundary and a storm system across the southeastern United States. We expect that system to get in here sometime by late Thursday into Friday, so we could see some isolated showers with that. But once that frontal boundary goes through, we're looking for some very warm and breezy conditions for the weekend. Boating forecast for all areas tonight to tomorrow. Caution flag remains in place for you guys out there. Your winds will be out of the east to southeast at 15 to 20 knots. And they will be gusting at times. Your seas will be running 4 to 7 feet with the ocean higher in gusts. Tide is presently low. Will be high at 7 minutes past midnight. Here's a look now at your Family Island weather and temperatures for tomorrow. A look now at your extended forecast through next Tuesday. Breezy and warm conditions expected tomorrow, and a frontal boundary expected by Friday. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.